Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society, bringing you our nightly update. And as of the 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time advisory from the National Hurricane Center today, we got our little spot that we've been talking about for the last few days. This currently has a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days, zero over the next 48 hours. If we look at it on Earth null, basically trying to find it, you will note here that down to the surface, we really don't have much. Come up to about 1 mile above the ocean surface, maybe a little bit right in this particular region, right here. You're seeing a little bit of reduction in winds and some stronger winds there on the northern side. If we were to come up a little further into the atmosphere, now we're approximately 2 miles up, you do see a little bit of a disturbance here, but you really see it when we get to the 500 millibar level. So this is approximately 18,000 feet, maybe, 3.5 miles above the ocean surface. Currently, with this high pressure ridge located well and established to its north, this is forecast to continue on a westerly heading. Should be in the region of the Lesser Antilles by the time that we get to the latter part of this weekend. Once we get it into the Caribbean, that's when things will become a little interesting and development potential exists. If we look at the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that was released this past Tuesday, we will note that they have a highlighted area here in the Caribbean, and that is greater than 40% chance of development, but less than 60. So we're looking at, from the Climate Prediction Center, about 40 to 59% development opportunity there anywhere here within the Caribbean. If we take a look at our models, this is our Euro legacy. We've got this going out 10 days. This ensemble grouping is made up of 51 members, and each line is representative of approximately 2% probability. As you can see here, we do have a little bit of a grouping here just south of Haiti, and then more that kind of get it over here towards the Western Caribbean. But we don't see a lot. Now, one thing that we do see is quite a few circles in and around the landmass here of Nicaragua and Honduras. If this were to get too close to land, it would struggle to develop due to those land interactions. If we compare that with the GEFS, now I have the GEFS here pushed out 7 days. And we do see that potential for development here south of Hispaniola, a little bit of a clustering there. But now if I jump this out to 10 days, as you can see, big difference. But the one thing that we do notice is a consistent signal of this being pulled out to the north and to the east. There are a couple signals depending on where exactly this were to develop, if it develops at all. There could be some delayed and some delayed motion in trying to get this out. It could hang around for a little bit longer than what we would prefer. Now, if we compare our legacy models with the current AI models, here we have the Euro AI going out 10 days. As you can see, some clustering here south of Hispaniola pulls up to the north and to the east. And then if we get it a little bit further to the west, say around 75, 80 degrees west, now we're looking at day 10, and we really don't have a lot of motion on this. It's kind of hanging around in that general region. And that is possible. If we jump over to the Google DeepMind, now we're going to run this forward. Here comes our wave. If you notice, we don't have anything like what we saw earlier maybe like 1, 2, 3 circles or so trying to roll through the islands. Now, we are not getting any signal whatsoever until it gets at least to the island of Hispaniola, south thereof. Now, we're out 7 days. As you can see, each one of these represents 2% probability. We're currently sitting at 18% development chances. If we were to run this forward and get it out to day 10, this is where things get a little interesting. You notice that we've had a separation and a split in some of the tracks. As you could see, there is a camp that were to potentially pull this off to the north and to the east. There are some camps that want to push this further and further to the west. Now, we only have one line of a 2% chance that is going to potentially threaten the United States here. And it would take some very particular set of circumstances. It would have to develop at the right time, be located in the exact place that it needed to be, plus the timing of the frontal boundaries and its intensification all kind of plays a factor there that would potentially lead to some southern Florida issues. But again, it is way too early to make any type of determination. As you can see, the ensemble mean itself, yes, it shows it coming up, coming over portions of western Cuba, and then potentially emerging here into parts of the Bahamas. But if you look at the ensembles themselves, the reason that this one is here is because you have a camp here and a camp here. They're averaging out and you're getting this central track. So right now, it's something to watch. It's something to keep an eye on, but it's certainly not a guarantee at this point in time. Not at all. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our deterministic runs. We have the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. These two graphics are representative of our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. This shows us areas of spin approximately 5,000 feet or around 1 mile above the ocean surface. As we run this forward, you're going to see the GFS do GFS things. We're just going to go ahead and put that out there. The GFS lost its mind with the 12Z run this afternoon. So now we're getting into, as you could see, late there Sunday, getting into Monday with the passage through the Windwards and the Lesser Antilles. As we run this forward, here we are at day 5. We're south of Hispaniola, really don't have much focused energy on the Euro, a broad area of, just a wave pocket. If we compare that with the GEFS is a little bit more of a tropical trough style system with that backside of it eventually lifting northward due to a Central American gyre. Now, both of these models are calling for this gyre. As you can see, it's right here on the Euro. The GFS is a little bit different because the GFS has it here. This makes a big difference because the little trough that was hanging off of it now starts to pivot upward and northward, gaining a little bit of latitude, which then puts the focus right here on that backside. With the Euro, it's a little bit of a different scenario. So let's go ahead. We'll run this forward. As you can see, the Euro remains very broad. There goes the GFS. By the time we get to day 7, we're really starting to focus that energy there south of Puerto Rico, western Puerto Rico there. And then as we continue to run this forward, we do develop it into a tropical cyclone, kind of hangs and bangs there around the Puerto Rico region. But notice what happens with the Euro. The Euro wants to pull this and get it very close to land here just off the northern coast of Honduras. So By looking at these two completely different models, we do not have anything in agreement with one another. They're certainly, they agree up to the point of it getting into the Caribbean, but then from there they have wildly different solutions that by the time we get to day 10, one is in the Atlantic, the other one is just off the coast of Honduras there in the Western Caribbean. So it big differences. Now, we're going to take a look at our humidity models. We have the 500 millibar graphics on the top and the 700 millibar graphics on the bottom. These two graphics are meant to represent the humidity levels in between about 10,000 to 18,000 feet above sea level. Euro on the left, GFS on the right. As we run this forward, this is going to help kind of solidify and highlight some of these frontal boundaries that are still will constantly be moving through over the winter months. And as you can see, by the time we get out to day 6, both models, especially here in this 500 millibar level, both models are in great agreement of having a very strong frontal boundary moving into Florida, driving even further south than the Florida Peninsula itself. Here we're at day 6, and as you can see, there is a great amount of dry air over the Gulf, the majority of the Bahamas, and the Florida Peninsula, even getting down to the northern tip of the Yucatan and west and central portions of Cuba. Now, as we continue to run this forward, we noted that this is kind of where the point where the models really start to diverge, as to where the GFS wants to develop something there almost right on the spot and does not allow it to get much further west than Hispaniola. The Euro, we've already seen through our vorticity our vorticity model, that the Euro will continue further and further to the west, eventually ending up off the northern shore of Honduras. Now, as we run this forward, please keep an eye on that frontal boundary, because that dry air, that frontal boundary really doesn't move that much at all. With the GFS's solution, it is strong enough, early enough, and far enough to the east that it is picked up by this large low pressure here over the New England states. Where the Euro is concerned, it was able to slip a little bit further to the left, and this is more favorable of a potential Central American issue. But it being this far to the left, if it were to get pulled northward, then it may turn out to be a threat for the southern portions of the Florida Peninsula. Now, if we compare all that, our humidity and our vorticity, with our deep layer wind shear, these two graphics are representative of the winds with and how they change and with speed at height through the 850 millibar to 200 millibar level. So this is representative of the wind column between approximately 5,000 and 40,000 feet above the ocean. Now, as we run this forward, we will note that the Caribbean stays pretty decently free of most shear, especially as we get west of Hispaniola. And you'll note that there is some signal here when we get to day 5 in and around this region. You'll see some shear, but here's the key. We already know that we had, due to the vorticity on the GFS, this is the development of that gyre. We have winds going in this general direction like this. All right, and a very weak area right here. Well, anything that moves and rotates in a clockwise fashion in the northern hemisphere is considered a high pressure. If we look at the Euro, we have this area here with I mean, there's some shear here, but as you can see, the pocket in which it's trying to develop in, closer to South America, doesn't have much shear at all. So now we're going to run this forward. We're going to get this all the way out to day 7. Now, at this point in time, this is where things get obviously have gotten really weird. So we have this upper level anticyclone kind of rotation thing. We've got a portion of, I guess you would call that the gyre here, and then what eventually would become Melissa here. I can tell you, if you take the GFS into La La Land, it develops both of these. Now, where the Euro is concerned, we have a smaller area right here, but this right here in that X right there, this is our wave. So we've got a pretty decently conducive environment out here associated, but wildly different solutions. One being a small area of conducive conditions. The other one with the GFS showing this large, broad area of gyre. And eventually this kicks up to the north due to its counterclockwise rotation from this one off to its left. It brings this trough northward and allows this to then close off and rush out that way in response to that trough right there. So that's about what we're looking at for the models for the Atlantic. If you guys have got any questions, please feel free, ask away. If we take a look at our MJO, we've got, moving out of phase 1 towards phase 2, rapidly working its way over to the other side of the planet, which would be very welcomed by us here on our side of the planet. Jumping out real quick to the Eastern Pacific, we have Invest 91E. Though it has increased in its 48-hour development percentages up to 50%, the overall 7-day percentages have come down and is now even with the 48-hour percentages at about 50%. That has come down from 60% at its maximum. So basically a coin flip here for Invest 91E. If we look at the models, the Euro Legacy really doesn't have a lot on it. Compare that with the GEFS, and as we could see, we'll run this out even 10 days. There's not a lot on it. And if we compare that with the Euro AI, there's even less. If I jump back over to the Google DeepMind and we roll this back, there's even less. So the 50-50 chance, if we go by what the AI models are looking at, may be closer to 10 to 20%. But we will have to wait and see exactly how that materializes. And last but not least, we have Invest 96W out here into the Western Pacific. This is forecast to move towards the Philippines, and will, regardless of development, will bring the chance of some flash flooding to the area. Now, what we have to watch for, and we're looking for here, is going to be the development of tropical cyclones in this particular region. This is expected to respond very, very intensely to the arrival of the Madden-Julian oscillation. When this goes off, when the northern Indian Ocean and the southern Indian Ocean begin to go off, 96W slips into the South China Sea, that overall conglomerate of really heavy thunderstorms and stuff like that is going to lead to some sinking air in places. That may help knock out our season. Now, it's obviously our season doesn't end till November the 30th, but with a lot of the wintertime patterns, frontal boundaries moving off of the United States, it is going to become increasingly unlikely that we see any impacts. We just got to get through this one last significant threat. That's it. That's all we got to do. And it's not guaranteed to develop. I do not see any ensemble member that is showing massive signal. Not at all. There's some signal, but not this big doom and gloom signal that we saw with some previous systems earlier this season. So right now we're in that wait and see mode, and a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity out here associated with that wave. So again, for the folks here in the islands, just monitor this as it begins to move through, creating a lot of heavy shower and thunderstorm activity, tropical downpours, which may lead to some flash flooding in areas, especially of higher terrain. So with that, everybody, that's about all I've got here for tonight. I didn't have much. We will be back live here again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central here on Facebook and YouTube. So join us then. We'll go over the models, see what kind of trends have held, see what kind of options have potentially been taken off the table. So it's going to be a little while before we really know, and we won't know exactly what this storm is going to do until we get its launching point. We need to know exactly where that center is going to be. Until we know that, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty that it still remains within this forecast. So please don't get caught up in any of the deterministic runs that are being shared on social media right now. They're going to change. They're going to change quite a bit. So until we have something bona fide, please use the ensembles, not the deterministic runs. So, all right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you all again tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody.